Hey guys, Jexie here. Welcome back to another video. If you are a returning subscriber, I want to say thanks so much for, joining me on my journey with my channel. If you are a new subscriber, I'd like to welcome you so much for being here and let you know that my channel is all about addiction from recovery. I feel like the more open we are about our recovery, the less stigma there is around addiction as a whole. So by sharing my story and my experience, I hope to break the stigma of addiction and recovery. This video is going to be a little bit different. This video, I'm going to share a story about something that happened with my daughter where she really ended up saving a life. So I guess the responsible thing to do is to put a trigger warning on this video. This video is about potential self-harm and suicide. Although no actions of those did happen, it is in, talking about those topics. And I know for some people that can be very triggering. And I think that it's important to let you guys know that that's what this video is about. So, this video took place, it had to be about a year and a half ago. I'm going to be very vague on specifics to protect the people involved. Obviously, you guys know my daughter, so that's different. But to protect the people involved in this, I am going to be purposefully vague. It has to do with children, and, we don't ever want anybody's actions as a child to follow them into adulthood, especially things to do with mental health. So, as you guys know, I moved from Maryland to New Jersey over 2 years ago. And my daughter now, because, look, let's be real, social media exists, was able to keep in contact with people she had gone to school with. So about a year ago, she got a text message from on Snapchat from a boy that she wasn't really friends with in school. And he had reached out to her. They talked a couple of times uh, weeks prior to this incident. She actually offered to let me use the text, but I don't think it's really necessary. And again, I'd rather be purposely vague in regards to the story. So she gets a text message where this boy is talking about taking his own life. And she wasn't sure at first if he was serious. And she did what I've told her to do, which is tell somebody. So it was in the evening. It must have been like 8, 9 o'clock at night. And she comes up to my room and she shows me her Snapchat messages and she says, I don't know what to do. And I'm reading through them and I'm realizing that this is more than just, I got in trouble and I don't want to live anymore. This was word for word any type of warning sign that you would tell people that this is when somebody is being a different level of serious. He not only explained why he wanted to take his own life, he had a plan. He talked about how he was going to execute the plan, when he was going to execute the plan, and was messaging my daughter because he wanted to thank her for being a friend, and he felt that he just needed to tell somebody. And upon reading these messages, I was very disturbed, and I felt like this is more than just kids talking. So I showed my dad, and I made sure that, I have a tendency to be a little on the dramatic side, and I wanted to make sure that my thoughts of this being serious were right. My dad agreed that this was serious. Unfortunately, I did not know the parents of this child. I wasn't even sure completely of the details. So the only thing I could do was call the police department in the area. Now, luckily, we are in that particular spot where we used to live was in a much smaller town. The schools were, it's a much different relationship with the police and the local residents than it is in like a bigger city. The other reason that this was super serious and why I chose to call the police was only about 6 months prior to this, a child in that middle school did take his life. young, I think sixth, could be seventh, but I think it was sixth grade at the time. And so that automatically makes things more serious, right? So we called the police and they asked if I could send them the messages, which we did. I gave him all the information that I knew of the child. Luckily, my daughter did know his last name. And, we reported it, and that was that. The police assured us that they were going to take it seriously. It did sound serious to them, and they were going to check up on it. We did hear back from the police. The police said that they had gotten in touch with his parents and let us know that the child was safe. So that was it. That was all we heard. I didn't expect to hear more from there, and I assured my daughter felt awful, because we always hear that whole like snitches get stitches, right? And I assured her that this was not that. This kid reached out for help, and even if he's mad at you for forever, you did the right thing, It's hard. It's hard to have these conversations, The time my daughter was in sixth grade, so this was scary. Scary for older kids and for adults even, right? And this was a sixth grader. So I didn't expect to hear anything else about it. It may have been about 4 days later, maybe, from the child's account, his mother messaged my daughter asking for my phone number. And so she told me first, and I said, yes, give his mom my phone number. That's okay. Because my kids know we've had a lot of conversations about safety on social media. And so the mother called me, and this is where it gets like a little emotional. So you don't always get the opportunity to know whether you did the right thing. The mother called me and thanked me and asked to thank my daughter. It turns out the child was very serious. They had no idea that he was struggling the way he was. And they immediately took him from that incident to a long-term mental health treatment facility. She said, if your daughter, sorry, it's just, when you're talking about kids, if your daughter had not called, had not showed you, and the police were not called, we would be having a very different conversation. And thank you. And tell your daughter she saved my kid's life, and I'll be forever grateful. And she thanked me as a parent for teaching my daughter that that's what we do. So I shared this because, look, part of being in recovery, I've taught my children that we're always honest. And if we don't know what to do, we ask for help. There's no shame in asking for help, right? And sometimes we don't need to get involved. Sometimes it's someone's just talking and, we just need to be a friend and listen. And sometimes we have to take another step to help. There's no book written on what the right decision is, right? And when you know what to do. But in this case, we followed our guts. And as it turned out, this child's life was saved because his parents were notified. They were home. He wasn't even home alone. His parents were home. They had no idea. And so, what was nice is that my daughter went from feeling really guilty and wondering if she did the wrong thing because, of course, he wasn't responding anymore. But he wasn't responding anymore because his parents took his phone and he was getting help. So, all I'd say is there's never anything wrong with being open with your kids. I mean, look, there's a lot of things I don't talk to my kids about in detail because they're kids, right? But letting them know that if they don't know the answers, to ask for help. And there's no topic they can't talk to me about. And I talk to them about things. And I'm just glad that things worked out the way they did. And, so I don't know. I'm interested to hear. Have you guys, anybody who has kids, do your kids share this stuff with you? What would you do in a similar situation? Would you have assumed, I don't know. I know we can never think about talk about what we would do if we're not in that situation, but I don't know. I'm interested to hear your perspectives on things like that. Maybe you've been in a situation where someone called help for you. I know in recovery, a lot of times things like interventions and help come without us expecting it, and oftentimes it's what saves our lives, you know. Um, but yeah, let me know what you think about it. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do. I always share just my own experience on recovery. Um, I don't try to give advice about things because, you know, I'm just a person in recovery, but I do try to share my experience in hopes that it'll help people and, you know, breaking the stigma. If we can talk about recovery out loud, then we can start talking about addiction out loud too without it being such a you know, stigmatized issue. So, anyway, I have a Discord, I have Twitter, I have an Instagram. You can follow. My links to all that stuff is in the description. It's according to Jexio all across the board. And I look forward to seeing you on our next video. Bye, guys.